Mill to be kept using my fiancé's ex-wife's name, to taunt me and insists that she's just joking until I snap and tell her that her choice made her son's life a nightmare for 5 years. Now she's crying crocodile tears and accusing me of disrespecting her. So a couple of days ago, I had a bit of an outburst at a family dinner that my future mother-in-law was hosting. Sharon, let's call her that, has never liked me and she couldn't be more obvious about it. Even though my fiancé is divorced and has been for the past 6 years, she can't seem to move on from his ex. Even though that woman was a total nightmare and she was the one who cheated on my fiancé with one of his richer friends, she seems to think that it was his fault. She was the one who had actually set them up together because his ex-wife's mom was a very close friend of hers. So she had played matchmaker and forced him to get married at 25 after having dated his ex for just 1 year. And then for 5 years, this woman had made his life a living nightmare. And Sharon knows all about it. But even then, she's convinced that it's his fault that she left. And sometimes she has even said that she doesn't blame her because she just upgraded to someone better to make her own life easier. And why don't I agree that she upgraded? I don't think that she wanted to make her life easier because she has never worked a day in her life. She's always been a housewife and even then, she needed a housekeeper so she ended up doing nothing at home and she was a huge shopaholic to the point where I think she had an addiction, and my fiancé had told me how she had always thrown tantrums whenever he refused to let her spend his money however she wanted to, but now she doesn't have that problem. The guy she ended up with is a lot richer, thanks to generational wealth. She was a total gold digger. You get the picture. She was the one who initiated the divorce and just a couple of months after it was finalized, she got married to his friend and moved cities and since then neither she nor her mother have bothered to keep in touch with Sharon, which is quite natural. What's unnatural is Sharon's obsession with them and her disregard for her own son and his feelings. It's been 6 years since then and it took my fiancé a lot of time and therapy to deal with whatever had happened because his life had been terrible for those 5 years that he had been married to his ex. But then 2 years ago, we met through a couple of co-workers and we started dating. And earlier this year, we got engaged. I had met his mom before. I did get the feeling that she didn't like me, but ever since we got engaged, she's been much worse than usual. Earlier, at least, she would just be cold towards me and try to ignore me, but now she targets me and picks on me all the time. I've tolerated it for a while out of respect for my fiancé, but then a couple of days ago, I just finally snapped at her. In the past few months, following my engagement, she has developed this annoying habit of taunting me with my fiancé's ex-wife's name, and then she pretends to correct herself and says my name. I know it's not a mistake that she's making. I know it's on purpose and I definitely catch the smug look on her face after she does this. It's pretty petty and I didn't want to talk about it but it was getting a little too much for me to take. So at dinner, when she did this one time too many, I decided to tell her that this was not funny. I told her that I knew that she was doing this on purpose and I called her out on her BS. I also told her that it's funny that she should keep repeating this woman's name knowing how much she had traumatized her own son. It just went on to show how little she cared for him and if it were up to me, I would make sure that my fiancé went no contact with her because she clearly did not deserve a son like him, who had continued to be by her side even after the way she had been treating him for the past many years. In front of everyone at the table, all the guests, I brought up how she was no less of a nightmare than his ex-wife because she had played an equal role in bringing that woman into his life and ruining it for 5 years and turning it into a total nightmare. And instead of being ashamed of it and being sorry about it, she takes pride in it like some sort of psycho. I told her that my fiancé's ex would have been the perfect fit for her and that neither did she deserve a good son like my fiancé nor did she deserve a daughter-in-law like me. And then I got up and left and my fiancé followed me. We went back home and I thought that he was going to be upset with me. But he told me that he was really happy that I had finally confronted her because he was bound to put up with her, but I was not. So it was good that I had taken a stand for myself, and now it's been a couple of days since then and Sharon is blowing up my fiancé's phone with messages and phone calls, demanding that I apologize because she really felt humiliated, disrespected and embarrassed when I made that speech. And she insisted that she had never had any wrong intentions, but the way I made it sound she felt like I was making her out to be the bad guy in her own son's life on purpose. She's been crying crocodile tears but I have no sympathy for her. AITA for snapping at my mother-in-law in front of all her guests at a dinner party. Update 1. Hey, okay. So a lot of people were questioning why exactly my fiancé had bothered to stay in touch for so long with his mom when she clearly did not respect him or his boundaries and had no regard for him. A lot of you people were not nice about it either. You guys called him a doormat. You guys called him a spineless coward and whatnot. And let me just tell you guys, if he was anything like that, I wouldn't have been with him in the first place. But he's not. He has his own reasons. First off, my fiancé's father passed away when he was just 2 years old. After that, it was his mom who had raised him single-handedly. She never married, hardly even dated other people, And so she only has her son now by her side. My fiance's grandparents passed away a long time back, and his mom doesn't really get along with the rest of her family, so she's pretty much alone. She doesn't have a lot of friends either. Well, because she doesn't really have a good attitude towards anything, and my fiancé has told me that several times in the past. He has thought about cutting his mother out of his life, but in the end he finds it very difficult to actually do it. He can't bring himself to do it because he knows that she has sacrificed a lot for him, be it in her career or her personal life or whatever. So he owes a lot to her, pretty much everything that he has, and I can totally understand why it's difficult for him to cut her off no matter how hard she makes it for him to be nice to her. Even after this particular incident, he has told me that he will try to sort things out, but if it doesn't work, then I am under no obligation to be nice to her. I don't owe her anything and I don't have to take any crap from her. If I were in his place, I probably would have been the same way because she's not getting any younger. She's almost 65 and she has a lot of ailments already. She's been asthmatic since she was a child, has been pre-diabetic for the past couple of years. She has problems of the heart, and recently she was diagnosed with arthritis as well. So naturally we have to take all of this into consideration because of course she has enough money to support herself. She has worked hard enough for that and she can get a nurse for herself, but it's not the same thing as being visited by her own son every weekend so he can be there for her. And it's not like she's always unpleasant to him. Sometimes she's exceptionally nice and goes out of her way to do things for her son, but then there are times when she's absolutely unbearable as well. So they have a complicated and kind of toxic relationship. But I can't understand why he has not cut her out of his life yet. God knows if I was in his place and my mom behaved like this, I would definitely find it difficult to cut her out as well. Anyway, so that's about my fiancé and his mom, and I hope that this will at least make people refrain from making horrible comments about him. You guys don't know everything about everyone, and this is not about him and my mother-in-law at all. This is about me and Sharon. And regarding that, I can see that the popular opinion was that I have no reason to feel sorry about anything. And if anything, she's the one who should be apologizing to me for behaving like this for so many months. But I know that she's not going to apologize, and I'm not foolish enough to expect her to either. The only thing I'm going to do at this point is to steer clear of her altogether. As it is, my fiancé has told me that I don't owe her anything and I don't have to keep myself in check around her. So far, I had only been doing it for him because I know that he's not a very confrontational person, and especially when it comes to his mom, he hates getting into fights with her. It's not like he hasn't tried it before. Believe me, he has. But she's not willing to change. She's always been like this, and I'm sure that being a single mother for so many years hasn't helped her case. She's not going to change. She's going to continue being cranky, self-centered, and always believe that she's right about everything. So she can continue to do so. I don't have to entertain it. And if she feels embarrassed because of what happened at the party, then she will do well to remember this in the future and not pick fights with me unnecessarily. I think what happened was bound to happen at some point. I think it's good that there is somebody who will keep her in check, at the very least. Now, I don't know what's going to happen because in the past couple of days, after trying to talk to my fiancé and get me to apologize, she sort of gave up when my fiancé said that he was not going to do anything of the sort. So if we hadn't heard from her for about 3 days now, tomorrow's Saturday, and my fiancé has said that he's going to pay her a visit and discuss all this with her, and if possible get her to apologize to me. If that works out, which I don't think it will, then it's all good, but I'm still gonna keep my distance from her. Update 2. Okay, so my fiancé visited his mom in the morning and he came back just a couple of hours ago and told me everything that happened. Initially, she had even refused to let him in and said that after what had happened, she wanted nothing to do with him until he had broken up with me or I had apologized to her. She was pretty adamant on it, and after a couple of seconds he was about to leave, but then she finally opened the door and started whining about how she couldn't believe that he was actually about to leave her. She started crying, saying that she had raised him all on her own, that she had sacrificed so much for him, and now he couldn't even get me to apologize to her for insulting her in front of all her guests. She started accusing him of prioritizing me over her and said that she couldn't believe I was controlling him like this, which was crazy because she's the one who's always tried to control him. Anyway, my fiancé defended me and she started getting even more upset when that happened. All she wanted was for him to just blindly say that she was right and get me to apologize to her. She was not ready to listen to any reason or logic, so they argued for a bit and she was standing outside her house. She had not even bothered to invite him inside. After a while he got really annoyed and he said that if that's the way she was going to act, then they were not going to get anywhere. And he was about to leave, but then she invited him in and started acting normally all of a sudden, saying that she really wanted to sort things out with him because she knew that at the end of the day he was all that she had. And no matter how much she acted cross with him or got mad at him, she still loved him and she did not want him to walk away upset from her. This is the pattern they usually follow, and once again my fiancé went in, and once they were seated his mom started telling him that she had always wanted what was best for him. And sure, She had been very disappointed when he ended up getting divorced from his ex because she was very confident that match would have worked out. But that did not mean that she did not care for him. She said that in moments of anger she might have said certain things that might have hurt him, but she wanted him to know that she did not mean any of it. By this, she was obviously referring to the fact that in the past she had implied that it was his fault, that his ex cheated on him and went off with his richer friend. And like always, my fiancé told her that it didn't matter if she had said it in a moment of anger or not. The fact of the matter was that she kept saying it every day that she was angry with him and it was not okay. It was not acceptable for her to say things like this, especially because it made him feel really bad, and in spite of how she made him feel, he would still keep coming back to her because he wanted to be a good son to her. Just like in the past, she had always been a good mother to him, but all he wanted from her was to not make it so difficult for everyone around her to be there for her. That's all he asked of her, and so he wanted her to apologize to me because the way she had behaved with me the past couple of months, that was also not acceptable. Not unlike him. I was not obliged to look after her. I was not obliged to come to her every weekend and try to fix things with her, no matter how upset I was with her. I was not him. She had not raised me and she had not had anything for me that would make me indebted to her forever, so she needed to understand that if she did not want any problems in the future then she should apologize to me. But of course, he hit a snag there because his mom was not ready to apologize to me at all. She said that she would apologize to him gladly, but after the way that I had behaved with her and embarrassed and disrespected her in front of so many people, there was no way she was going to come and say sorry to me. She insisted that I was the one who had acted way worse and maybe she had been a little cold and mean to me, but that did not excuse my behavior and she was not going to speak to me unless I apologized to her. He tried to reason with her to the best of his abilities, but she was just not willing to bend. Eventually he got really frustrated, and he told her that in the future if she was not invited to the wedding or if she was not allowed to be a part of her grandkids' lives, then she would know that it is her own fault because then she had the opportunity to make things right with me, and she refused to do so because she was too proud of herself and she was too narcissistic to admit that she had made a mistake and had been horrible to me. And in the future she would end up having nobody to blame but herself. That finally got to her, I guess, the thing about the grandkids and the wedding. During his previous marriage when they had first started having problems, his mom had told him to just start trying to have kids so all their problems would go away because I guess they would have new problems to deal with. Anyway, back then he had tried to suggest the idea of having kids to his ex-wife, but she was not having it. She said she was too young for it and that she was not interested in becoming a mother before 30, so that never ended up happening. But my fiancé is aware of the fact that his mom has always wanted grandkids and I'm 31, he's 37, so we still have a lot of time and I definitely plan on getting pregnant in the next few years. And about the wedding, I had already made it up in my head that if this woman does not apologize to me, then there will be no place for her at the wedding because that is supposed to be a day full of happiness, a day meant to celebrate the couple. And if she cannot be happy for us, if she cannot respect us, then she has no place at the wedding. I guess that gave her some pause, and after a while she told my fiancé that she would think about it, but she needed some time to process things as well because she had felt really hurt by my behavior. And she knew that she had been a little mean to me as well, but it hadn't been as bad as what I had done. So she needed some time before she made up her mind about what to do, and until then she would be completely fine with staying away from me. I was totally fine with that as well because anyway I intended on keeping my distance from her, because if she planned on being as difficult as this in the future after I was married, then I guess it would be better for both of us not to have any contact with each other at all. So this is everything that my fiancé told me after he had come back home, and I told him that even if his mother decides not to talk to me, I'm completely fine with it. In fact, I would actually prefer that because I don't want to talk to her. I don't want to have anything to do with her because she's a very difficult person, and like I said, I don't owe her anything. I told him if he really wants it, then we can have her at the wedding, but she's gonna have to stay away from me throughout the duration of the wedding, and whenever we have kids she can even spend time with them, but I don't want anything to do with her on a one-on-one basis because she's toxic. I don't like her and that's it. He said that whatever I had said was perfectly justified and that was it. We didn't argue or anything about it. I know he has his duties towards his mom, but I really appreciate the fact that he doesn't let that get in the way of our relationship. I'm lucky to have him, and Sharon is too. If only she realized it instead of taking him for granted all the time. Update 3. So it's been a few weeks since my last update and we pretty much had zero contact with Sharon for the last couple of weeks. And yesterday, out of sheer worry and anxiety, my fiancé decided to pay her a visit because it was quite unusual for her not to contact him for so long. And he had been waiting for her to call whether she wanted him to visit or not and whether she wanted to apologize to me or not. But then she didn't say anything at all and there was just radio silence on her end. So he visited her yesterday and just like the last time, she refused to let him in. But this time, she was more adamant than before and she said the last time she had softened up a little because she did not want to lose her son. But then she had thought about the situation for the last couple of weeks and she couldn't believe that he had actually tried to manipulate her into apologizing to me when I did not deserve it at all. He had no idea what she was referring to, so she reminded him that he had said that if she didn't apologize, then she would not get to be a part of his wedding or get to see her grandkids whenever they were born, just because she did not have a good relationship with me, and she said that that was him trying to manipulate and gaslight her into apologizing to me when it was actually me who had created this whole mess. She said it was very clear now that he had turned into a puppet for me, and he did not have any respect for his own mother anymore, which is why he had insisted that she bow down in front of me and apologize to me when it was she who had been disrespected. She said that she had had enough time to think about everything that had happened and now she was not falling for his manipulation and mental gymnastics anymore, and he needed to leave because she had decided she wanted nothing to do with him anymore. She said that she had enough money to support herself and she was a dignified lady. She did not need to rely on her son for crumbs of affection and love. She could survive perfectly fine without anybody else, and since he had decided that now I was more important to him than his own mother, who had done so much for him, she was perfectly content with letting him go at this point. My fiancé was very surprised. He had not seen this coming, but when he realized that she was being serious, he finally snapped. I'm not surprised. This has been a long time coming because even the most patient man has his limits. So, he started screaming at her, and he told her that for years he had put up with her psycho behavior, her crazy fit of anger, the horrible things that she says to him, and even though they have fought, he has always tried to make it up to her because he knew that she had sacrificed a lot for him and he couldn't forget about that, mostly because she wouldn't let him. He had always tried to be a good son to her and tried to remember the fact that everything that he had been able to achieve in his life, it had been all thanks to his mom. So he had really tried his best, but since she had decided that she did not need him anymore, he told her it was finally time to say goodbye because he was done as well. He did not owe her anything else, and if she didn't want to speak to him, then maybe it was for the best for them to never speak again at all because he was getting exhausted. He had tried over and over again to explain to her that this kind of behavior was not going to get her anywhere with her family or even her friends. But she had never bothered to listen to him and now she had lost the one and only person who had always tried to stay by her side. He told her that he was definitely picking me over her because I actually loved him and I did not traumatize him the way she had. I respected his boundaries. I respected him as a person and I actually cared for him. I wasn't just always trying to control him and get him to be my puppet like she was. He told her that he would keep choosing me and he was glad that I was a part of his life now because now, thanks to me, he doesn't have to deal with her anymore. And now, for the rest of her days, she can sit alone in that house and continue to play the victim because he's done with her. After having said that, he walked away and that was it. His mom did not even try to open the door and try to apologize, so clearly she was done as well. If she wants to hold on to her anger and lose her son, that's up to her. But I'm very happy that my fiancé finally cut her off because I think, in spite of all his best attempts, she never valued him. And this is good for him. He needs this. I'm proud of him, and I know that he's going to be upset for a while. But in the long run, this is what is for the best. Update 4. Hey, everyone. So it's been 6 months since my last update, and earlier this week, my fiancé and I finally tied the knot. We had a beautiful ceremony. Everything went according to plan and we are really happy with everything. His mother was not there. She was not even invited and in the past 6 months we have not spoken to each other even once. The last that we heard from her, she had sent my husband an email about maybe 4 or 5 months back saying that she had changed her will and now he would not be receiving anything. Basically, she had disowned him and left most of whatever she possessed to charity. I'm guessing she expected him to reach out to her after that and apologize to her, but he didn't even care. For a couple of months after he stopped speaking to his mother initially, he was kind of upset. However, with time, he seemed to get happier even more than he used to be before. He told me that he's really happy that he and his mom don't speak anymore because in spite of everything that she had done for him in the past, ultimately, it didn't make a difference because she really made his life horrible in the past couple of years. She was quite a bitter and unhappy person herself and maybe she couldn't stand that her son was trying to be happy in his life. So that's why she went out of her way to make him unhappy as well. And now that they're not talking anymore, now that he's not obliged to visit her every month, he's much more carefree and I'm really happy for him. We are both thrilled to have started this new chapter of our lives on a good note, and we hope that we are just as happy as we are right now for the rest of our lives.